Aotearoa SOUNZ.
E ngā reo, e ngā mana, raurangatira mā tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome to our new podcast series, Inspiring Journeys Through Music. Presented by Sound Centre for New Zealand Music, Toi te Arapuoru. Ko Crystal Edwards ahau. Today I'm joined by Pere Wihongi, Mau's Huata-Lucas, aka Mistee K, and Tipene Harmer, to talk about their journeys as successful independent music artists. This is the first part of a two-part series. Nā mihi nui kia koutou katoa. Oh, it's an absolute honour tuatahi to have such a vast spectrum of our kaiwaiata ki wainganui a tātou marunga I tēnei ipurangi. Well, kei te mohio kia koutou kōwai tēnei, ko Kiino Krystal ahau, ko tō kaiarahi I tēnei uiui. I will hopefully guide you not down the wrong ara, but tētahi ara pai I tēnei rā. So we have done our rounds ki te mihi me e rā mea otira. We're going to repeat that. And kei a koe te wā tuatahi Pere mahau nā mihi e timata tēnā koe. Ko wai koe, no hea koe.
Hoi anō rā tēnā rā tātou I ngā tuahuaranga o te wā. Mihi nui ana kia koe te tua. Mō I whakapuare mai tēnei whare wānanga kia tātou. Te whare wānanga o te ao puoro tonu. Hei hāpai ake I ngā kōrero, hei hāpai ake I tēnei o ngā kaupapa. Hoi anō rā nōku anō te Māori. Anei rā ahau, anei rā te taitoke rau. Ko tōtoia mai rā ko ngā mātā waka o te nōtā o muri whenua o te wharetapu o ngā puhiki tēnei o ngā wānanga. Ana ko Pere Wihongi tōku ingoa. Kei konei au kei tāmaki makaurau, he uri anō hoki no te tonga o tāmaki makaurau, Southside, ngā haumāngere o Hoturoa. Hoi anō rā I tēnei wā kei te taiwhanga hopure o No Filter Studio ahau I tēnei wā. Hoi anō rā, e nei mihi roto tonu I te ngākau nui, te ngākau māhaki me te ngākau whakaiti. Tēnei rā Pai Pere e whakahoki atu ana I te rākau kōrero kia Kiino Krystal. Kia ora mai tātou.
Oh, tēnā koe e te tuakana ai te taina. Ai, tika hoki a Pai Pere, ware katoa hau I tērā ingoa o ta painana kia koe I tērā. Oh, gee, that was a long time ago, our last ui though, but yes, Pai Pere, no mai ki wanganui a tātou. Ka huatu te rākau ki te tokorua nei noroto o tēnei rohe taurikuro o mātou. Nā reira, tēnā koe te tuahine e te whanaunga kai a koe te wā.
Tēnā koe, tēnā koutou. He uri ahau no Ngāti Kahungunu ki te Wairoa, Ngāti Kahungunu ki Here Taunga, ki te taho tōku māma, me ngai tūhoi hoki, ki te taho tōku pāpā no Ngāti Tūwharetoa, me kaitahu oku iwi, ko te whānau huata ki te taho tōku māma, me te whānau te Moana Lucas, te whānau o tōku pāpā. Ai, e noho ana ahau ki te raki pai whenua nei, ki tāmaki makaurau. Engari tupu aki ahau, ki te poho o tōku ngākau, ki kohu pātaki I roto I te rohe o te matau a Māui. Tēnā koe te whanaunga.
Tēnā no koe te whanaunga. Ana ka mutu kia koe te parata, Tipene, kai a koe te wā.
Tēnā koe, tēnā koutou. Huri ahau I Ngāti Kahungunu ki Here Taunga. Te taho tōku matua, te taho tōku kōka, ko Ngāti Kahu no te tai tokerau, Ngāti Porou ki te tai rāwhiti. Yeah, hai, kia ora.
Short and sweet. Love it, brother. Tēnā no koe te parata. Ana kia koutou rā. It's actually going, I'm looking forward to this kōrero. It's about, of course, he kōrero whakaaweawe, he kōrero hoki kia whakatau mai o koutou nei neke, I roto I tēnei mahi wā. And it's a very lucrative industry way we say around, of course, ngā taha auaha ne, but as successful artists as yourself, koutou tahi. Yes, hopefully when people tune into this kōrero that they'll find some kind of relevance and inspiration to go, hey, if Pere, if Mistee K, if the brother Tipene can do it, so can we. Nā reira, me timata te kōrero pēnei kia koutou. We understand that, he nui ngā piki, he nui ngā heke roto I tā koutou nei haere, ki te tihi o tēnei mahi o te kaiwaiata e rā mea. However, I guess maybe we'll start with, again, with you there, e Pere, nā te mea ko koe rā tā tātou manihiri tawhiti nei. How did you become, I guess, the beautiful and successful artist that you are today?
It's actually kind of whakamā to call it successful. And there, when I envision success, I still envision the summit of the maunga, and I feel like I'm only like on peak 2 of like 7,000 peaks of this pai maunga. So, I mean, look, I honestly can't actually answer that because there's still so much to be done. But I mean, in terms of what's got me to where I am at this point, whether or not they're successful is a whole nother thing. Hoi anō rā, I think a huge part of it, of what's got me here, is literally, specifically in te ao waiata, kapahaka. And I credit all of my musical skills to my foundations of kapahaka. And especially knowing the holistic values, health values that come from kapahaka, but in particular the music, the musicality that comes with kapahaka as well, that I've been able to really cross credit and cross over those skills from the kapahaka stage into, well, the studio, essentially, when it comes to harmonies, when it comes to vocal attacks, when it comes to compositions, arrangements. And so really, in the mahi that I've been fortunate enough to be a part of, and also in those particular parts of mahi, I've been fortunate enough to meet Tīpene and Mistee K as well, through different types of mahi waiata, whether it be composition and waiata workshops, whether it be workshops going into our kura. There's so many skills that I've been able to grasp from kapahaka, but I think more holistically, what's really pushed me is my passion for te reo Māori, as all of my content, all of the waiata, all of the kaupapa that I like to attach myself to, or that I do concentrate and push myself into, have a core foundation of te reo, whether it is bringing in my own experiences and wording them into te reo, whether it is taking other people's experiences and compositions and translating that into te reo, or whether it's bringing te reo to animation screens or television screens as well. I've been fortunate enough to work on kaupapa like Pipima, Te YouTube, and we're currently now working in kaupapa like Lion King, Reo Māori at this stage. We're in production of this kaupapa at the moment, but I can honestly say that the two main values, when I think about that question and when I think about what actually got me here, what actually got me to this position in terms of the music world, I can honestly, full-heartedly say that at the very kōtihi of my whakaaro is kapahaka and te reo Māori, and then I think I'm just very fortunate enough to have a foundation of support from my whānau and friends. Hoi anō rā, I hope that answers that question.
Oh, that sure does, e hoa, and such a humble way of how you came across, and being a haka kid, yes, kore, and that's so beautiful that you've mentioned that, but and how you've just mentioned around the success, yes, Māori we come through this kind of stage of, kawe pera, he whakamā, hau kare anoa kia, eke ki tērā, tihi manono, or, of our success, but I must say, e hoa, you three here as an observer and as a supporter of Māori music, Māori artists, and that kare kore, like you said, even though you're at one point of your success, Ka eke tonu koe hoa. So just carrying on, kia koe te tuahine, te whanaunga, uri te tonu te rā pātai kia koe, tēnā, whakautua mai.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those questions that tends to come up all the time, hey, and we all kind of sit there thinking, well, who sees us as successful? You know, what is success and how do we measure that? You know, for me personally, I measure success on the impact that I leave behind. But for me, success is believing in yourself, ko tērā te tuatahi. If I don't believe in myself and believe in the vision that I have for where I'm heading, then how is someone else going to believe in it too? You know, so for success for me, it doesn't stem from one particular place. You know, when I stand on the stage and whether that be to get up and do something like this, ko tēnei te ātāmira hoki, you know, to be able to be in a space where you are able to express how you feel and your journey, and whether that touches someone in some sort of way, to me that's success. Whether it hits one person or a million people, you know, where does the measure for success stop? And yeah, ko tērā tōku nei whakaro I roto I tō pātai te karangarua. Like, you know, for me it's a never-ending journey, success, because success to me feels a million types of ways, you know, to touch someone's kariaroto with my music, or to touch somebody by just being there to listen and be that listening ear, to then express their story in how I compose a waiata. Not every song that I write is about my experiences, you know, so yeah, mine's pretty much short and sweet. Belief. If I don't believe in myself, then how do I expect anyone else to believe in what they, you know, what I'm trying to do or what they're trying to achieve as well. So yeah, ko tērā.
Kia ora e te whanaunga. And that's actually something that is really huge that we need to really express among, especially our rangatahi these days, self-belief. Ki te kore, if you're not your own cheerleader, if you're not your own, you know, that kind of āhuatanga, wow, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. And see, once again, you humble Māoris. Cut it out.
But that's the thing, it's whanaunga, like with humble, like we have to eliminate that kupu, because if we look back on our people, they didn't even have that kupu in their vocabulary, right? We've kind of adapted and brought that into our lives where we can't have this tall poppy syndrome thing going on, and whatever that might mean to people, you know, and I'm like a huge advocate for that now, being in a position where I'm at, which I'll talk about later on, but I feel like that's a kupu that we need to squash right now. Let's eliminate humble, because we are elevating together, not above, below, we are side by side. So, yeah, koina.
Oh, beautiful.
I'm just going to jump in right there.
Go, Kazi, go. Take it over.
Yeah, tautoko, what you just said, Mouse. Yeah, I think, I feel it's quite simple. Well, I know you probably had a simple answer. I've got an even simpler one. It's spread love, man. You know, spread love. That's what we're up to, you know. Like, well, even if you're not even feeling good about yourself or something's going on, you're feeling down, whatever, you know, yeah, still spread love, even, you know, just give it out through music, through kōrero, through just being there, through hopefully doing good performances, all that sort of stuff, you know. It's all about the love, man. Like, there was a guy, his name is David Poe. I met him in Wellington when I was about 18. You know, doing this music thing, and I was like, yeah, I get signed to a record label and all of that, and, you know, I had all this kind of, I don't know where I got that from, probably movies, and he says to me, Tīpene, can I ask you a question? And I said, yeah. He was a producer, and he said, could you tell me what you think the most powerful, the most influential force in the universe? What do you think there might be? So I'm going to ask you fellas, you know, just think about that for a little bit. And, you know, I was 18. You remember I was 18. You know, I was just like, straight away I said, God, it's got to be Atua. It's got to be the Atua. And he said, close. I was like, okay. I didn't get it anyway. And he said, it's love. I was like, okay. It's the most powerful, most influential. And I was like, okay, well, he goes, do you think of someone that you love? And I was like, yeah. have them in your brain right now, you know. Is there anything that you wouldn't do for that person or people? My answer was, no, I'd do anything for them. And he goes, would you give your life to save that person? I was like, yeah, easy, you know, because that's love, right? It just makes you do crazy things, you know, things that you couldn't even believe that you'd be able to do, you know. You could be like scared as hell, but, you know, the love that you have for that person can make you go, I'm just going to buck it up and just smash it and just, you know, tu whiti te hopo, you know, just do it anyway, you know, even though it's shaking in our boots. So, yeah, I think it's quite simple for me, man. Spread love, keep spreading love, because, man, we all need more of that. Yeah.
Gotta aim for the stars. Fight core, they don't wanna pie at the bar. Talking to the artiki. I'm walking with the artiki. When I come, I'ma bring the guards with me. Hey, I'm winning, trying to be.
Kare kore, yes. And you know what? Love is a powerful thing because that's what's all brought us here. Love for the music, ne? Ahakua reo Māori mai, reo Pākehā mai, reo Hainamana mai, Āmotu mai. Koina te take kua tūhono, kua noho tahi ai tātou I tēnei kaupapa. So, three very interesting perspectives, and that's what it's all about, ne? Nā reira, he mihi nui kia koutou. As we all know too, you know, we're talking about getting into our artist successful flow, but while we're on that haerenga, we know that he nui ngā piki, he nui ngā heke, eh? We've got the pros and the cons of striving to what we believe in, striving to put a musical composition together, striving to doing what we love. So with that, could we possibly once again, haere anō ki a koe Pere, and just huri rauna ki waingani a koutou, he aha wetahi o ngā piki me ngā heke as a independent artist and as a kaiwaiata?
Oh, this one's a bit of a tricky one because I think along the journey, maybe it is within perspective, I feel, because when we talk about piki, we look into the things that we celebrate, the things, small achievements. They don't actually have to be big. It could even just be waking up, getting out of bed sometimes. But when we look at the heke, I think that it's contextual. It's different for every single artist. But what may remain consistent is that we're always going to find barriers. We're always going to experience some kind of hardship, a problem per se, failures as well. And I think it's only from those kind of experiences that you can actually build yourself upon. If you're consistently achieving and if you're consistently, I guess, succeeding, it is about trying to grab the lessons from those heke, like you've mentioned. A big thing that's really helped me is changing the perspective on how we see failures and how we see hardship. Within this last, I guess, 5 years, when I was leaving the television industry to fully, I guess, focus into the music world or my own musical craft, one of the things that really stuck with me was it's never, you're never going to lose. It's not a win or lose situation, it's win or learn. And it's only by identifying those losses, you're grabbing the lessons. It's up to you. You can actually take it on as a loss, or you can take it on as a lesson. And so I think that actually my heke have actually made me the person I am. The hardships have actually helped me help project me actually into the direction I'm wanting to go. They actually kick me up the ass to give me a bit of a pep in my step. Because, at times I can become complacent. And I think that's one of the biggest, hardships when it comes to the creative industry is the complacency, and it's getting used to, he awa wairua tēnei. The creative industry is a spiritual industry. There are foundations of, mental, the strategic side, but a lot of the stuff that we're making come from a core of spirituality. And so it is about ensuring that we're looking after that taha wairua. It is about ensuring that we're looking after the taha hinengaro as well, because we tend to really delve into our craft quite spiritually. So I think in terms of my own personal hiki, complacency has been my number one enemy. When I find myself slacking, it actually kind of disappoints myself, but it also wakes me up to say, hey, I can wake up, sort your shit out and get moving, because you've got no time to waste. So I think complacency has been one of my biggest kind of things, and then changing my perspective on how I see those failures, changing my perspective on how I see, it's not even looking at them as failures, but always taking them on board as lessons. Hoi anō rā, te tūmanako ia, kei reira e tahi kōrero hei a piti atu ki tēnei wānanga.
Oh, kare e kore, and I think we're all victims, or I wouldn't say victims, but we're all guilty of that, and you're the one who's actually brought it up to the forefront. But I love that win or learn. That was a meke little kiwaha phrase, kianga there e te tungani, so fabulous. I love that one there. I'm going to actually take that, pocket it for Kiino. Otira, kia koe te whanaunga, same kōrero for you there, ngā piki me ngā heke wā, tēnā kōrero mai.
Well, yeah, I love that. Lessons. Yeah, I actually, as an independent artist, I find that there's been more pros than cons. And I've been an independent artist moa ke tonu atu. And I have had, like the Bro Teeps was saying before, when you speak to people and, you have this opportunity where people go, oh, we can sign you to this label. Back when I first started out, age 11, that was me. I was like, oh my gosh, I just need to be signed to a label, But what I've noticed throughout my years being in this music scene is a label does not define you as an artist, but if you allow it to, it will, and that's the thing. So with the pros, there are so many pros, but like what Pere said before about the cons of what kind of makes you, definitely the lessons you learn along the way are what makes you the great artist that you are at the moment, and the great artist that you are going to be moa ke tonu atu, So definitely a lot more pros than cons. The pros for me, just some of those attributes that I can share are, having that creative space to be able to be whatever you want to be. To be your authentic self 100% without having someone direct you into this is what you should be doing. And I can confidently speak on that because that is how it's been for years and years and years. I've seen it happen to people, to friends of mine who have changed because they've had to in order to get somewhere. Or they've had to meet this person in order to get to where they thought they needed to be, So with the pros, like as an independent artist, I have the capacity to be able to really reach my goals in the way that I want to do it. The flexibility is the big word I'd say as an independent artist. But the con, and this is probably the only downfall for me looking at it in a business perspective, is the reach. As an independent artist. I struggle to get funding. I struggle to get any kind of, unless I don't go out, if I don't know somebody who's already established, and now I'm established, so I'm able to actually speak on this. And for me, I revert back to how it was for me as a struggling independent artist trying to be seen. Everyone's reaching for that same mic and no one is no one at the top is even giving it to anyone that's aspiring to be there. That's where I feel like I kick in now. And I feel so passionate about this because I know what it's like to be reaching up for that mic and just getting it whacked every time. Like, oh, hang on, but who are you? You know what I mean? Like, so the pros and the cons, they weigh everything up in who you become as an artist. For me, I feel a lot stronger where I can be that advocate, be that mouthpiece for those people that are aspiring, because I'm still aspiring to be that artist to this day, So, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on with this kōrero, but at the end of the day, I love that. I love that kianga about, it's the lessons. It's not so much a con, or it's not so much a downer. They are the things that really break you, make you who you are. They break you, but they make you. They build the strength. The inner strength that we all need to remind ourselves that, hey, we can achieve anything we put our mind to, and that for me, especially being in a male-dominated industry, it's quite hard to be, and I'm an R&B singer at that, so it's predominantly reggae across Aotearoa. And so, I find that a lot of my friends listen to reggae, and then I'm like, well, hey, I'm a 90s R&B singer. Like, I'm not going to change who I am because I deliver best in doing what I do. Like, if I enjoy it, the delivery is going to be amazing, because I feel it. Like Pere said before, wairua. It's a creative space. If you feel it within you. It's just going to be projected in that way when you put it out there. You can tell when someone is bouncing from genre to genre and they're not feeling it. You can tell, So that's another pro and con too that I've had to kind of realize. I'm not going to be Mel's or Mistee K, the reggae singer, because I don't feel it in that same way. It doesn't mean that I don't love reggae though. I love all genres of music. I just know what my niche is and how I can bring it to the forefront in the best way that I can do it, So, yeah, koina toku whakaaro e pāna ki tērā pātai. But I love that, and I'm going to take that too. I'm going to take that with me too, about instead of looking at the hard lessons as a con, I will look at it just like that, a lesson to make me stronger and to make me a better artist.
That's right, tēnā koe te whanaunga. And thank you, Mistee K, for really putting it out there too, that, it is, we need to find where we sit. We are eclectic artists, we're all into every kind of genre out there, but to feel what you want to deliver out there, me kokiri, me whai tērā ara. So thank you for sharing that, e te whanaunga, Mistee K. We're going to go over to you there, brother Tīpene, tēnā no koe e te parata, knowing that you come from, of course, Pāhara Keke here, te whānau Harmer as well. We've had the stereotype put above us and all of that too, brother. And I must say, being a hip-hop sister myself, supporting you since the Tribal Syndicate days, then same with you, my bro. What are some of your pros and cons that you've come across as an independent artist?
I reckon they're all pros, yeah. And I totally agree with what Pere and Mel's are saying about the hardships craft you, they I would imagine it like for kaido, when you start off with a tōtaro or kauri, whatever you're starting off with, and then you just chip all the parts away that you don't want, right? Then you're left with the po type of thing, So I hip hop is super competitive, It's not like reggae where you go and show love and give hugs and all of that, and even R&B, they're real cool people. You meet them, and when you see hip hop artists, they just want to cut your head off. They're like, I ain't trying to show love, bro. I'm not a man, type of thing. So whose lyrics are meaner? Who's the baddest? Who's the coolest? And all of that. And if I'm ultra honest, I didn't really care about any of that. I know that exists, so that was something that I know. It just makes you. We talk about the complacency, what Pere was talking about. That sort of nullified the complacency, for me, because it's just like, man, you either on or you off, type of thing, So I was always trying to. I didn't actually listen to a lot of other people that were out there as well. Not because I didn't think they were any good. It was more about what am I going to bring, What can I actually offer? So you can make beats, so you can rap, so what? So can a billion other people. What are you going to do with that? What's your superpower? What when someone asks about you, or even better, if your kids ask someone about you, like, oh, what's my dad? Well, what was he like? And you want them to, you kind of think, well, I wonder what they would say. Is he their fellow that chased around after everybody and try to sound cool for the moment or whatever? Or was he someone that offered something, someone that contributed something that actually is, I always, I hear the authentic thing quite a bit. I think if you're being honest with yourself, that's it. It's you don't have to be that. You're already that. Like to be yourself, or what is being yourself? Just well, who else can you be? Like it's. I mean, like I see it as a thing that. That's probably the thing that I've seen. And I wouldn't say there was a challenge. It's a constant challenge for me. But out in the industry that I'm in, in the genre of hip hop, I've seen a lot of my good friends, man, good people, just lose themselves in that competition and that trying to outdo the next guy, trying to, I don't know, trying to make the next banger, and I can see they ain't happy. I can see it, I'm like, what are you doing? Are you loving this? Do you love it? Do you feel it? Can you play that to your kids? I mean, or do you say, oh no, you can't play that to them because that's dad stuff, put it over there.
I would say though, hip hop is like you said, hip hop is a different, like you said, it's got that different genre and that. But I would say, if I was to reflect on, say where you started from Tribal Syndicate days, and then coming into your most recent drop of your album, which is the Trail Heritage, I must say, like. And that's why, I guess, for me personally, why I was attracted to you, E Te Parata, because you were one of the first hip-hop artists, besides like Damn Navid, but you would rap about our iwi, and so, to hear someone like, Kukahungunu in the Hedatunga range, it was like, oh, he's taking hip-hop into a whole nother, it's hip-hop. But kei te whakamana koe I tētahi atu mea. So in saying that though, bro, what was, how did you come to that whakaaro that, hey, I am going to do hip hop. Hip hop is very much egocentric. It's all about ego and stuff.
It is.
But you came on a different thing. How did you come to that whakaaro? Because for me, that's a pro.
Yeah, fire out. That's a good question. I don't think I've got a one sort of defining thing about that. All I know is that the only thing that made sense to me, because I was like, well, and like, because I wasn't brought up, in speaking Māori and even knowing thing. I used to just sit, just like all the other kids, waiting for our koro to sit down and do the waiata and stand up for ages, and we didn't know what he was saying. I could just see it was masterful though. Like, I couldn't understand a lot of it, but I could see that what he was saying and how it was connecting with people, to me, that was the MC. That is an MC. So, and you could just see all these people just like, yeah, man, and even though you don't have I didn't have any idea what they were talking about, it looked captivating to me, and I had, one of my uncles who used to like walk like a bird. It was weird because he used to like do this little thing and then do his kōrero and just walk like a bird and like do this bird stuff. And I was just like, what is he doing? Is he performing? Like, this, he looks like a bird, but, that really, I think just, I didn't really think about it like, oh, I want to be the bird guy. It was more like, something in this is captivating me in some way. So it's a heritage trail. I mean, for me, it's a trail. It's being able to bring those worlds, these three things I'm passionate about the most. The first one is people, whānau. The second one is being creative, music. The third one is being Māori. So I'm like, well, if I can put those three things together, geez, I'm at this. Most super powerful, most influential force in the universe.
winning, brother. And thank you for actually using our pai tapu as like, I guess, a pinnacle or as a tauira for the original stance of MC. Like, with you just saying that, I was like, oh, cut it out. Actually, yes, if I was to be truthful, that was the first time I actually saw, the taumata of what an MC can do, captivating our people with their kōrero. Yeah, so, bro, thank you for using that as a beautiful example for where aspirations of MCing can come from. And that's so, just taking it back to our pai bro, man, that hit me right here in my manawa. Pina kaikaranga, it's like, oh my gosh, got it out. Tēnā koe. Well, carrying on a little bit there, because we're talking about, of course, ngā mahi me ngā piki me ngā heke, and just sort of done a little bit of rangahau. So as you said, Pere, you're doing a little bit of mahi with the Lion King, whakamaori I wera o nā waiata, tērā kiriata, and of course with you, Mistee K, Kazi, you have got, of course, you came out of releasing some singles and that, alongside with your sister as well, beautiful waiata that have been coming there, and of course our brother dropping, of course, the Heritage Trail, Silver Scroll kōrero there too. But with you there, Pere, you talk about, kapahaka was your foundation. I must say, as a kaimataki I a koe, your pūkenga within te ao waiata is very vast. But what is it that you like to kind of like focus in on? What's your tino? What's your favourite thing that you like to focus on as a artist?
Oh, honestly, I think I was very lucky growing up. My grandfather is like very, very critical, and he used to absolutely hound me growing up. We were pretty much waiata tautoko on a dial, my sister and I, so we'd be going around with him to every single tangihanga, and my koro, he's got heaps of friends, and of course being a koro, all of them are passing away, so we were doing all the waiata for his kōrero, so we had that practice. But oh my gosh, look, what really, he used to be quite brutal, actually, with his feedback and crafting us, and even just the way we would perform. He would literally tell us, as literally like, 8-year-olds, to engage with the crowd when we're singing a song, and we're singing like, it could be e torunga mea, but look at the crowd. Don't that was his pet peeve, like performing like this if we get up and sing. And so because he was so critical and because he was so like brutal about it, that kind of inner voice has stuck in my head, and everything that I've kind of done. And I think one of the biggest things that he's kind of said, especially when we compose music, like, look, we made this song, right. He'd be like, he'd literally tell us the truth. If it was a dumb song, he'd be like, maybe work on it. Nah, don't sing that one. And one of the things that he actually said was, if you're not gonna, in terms of songs, when composing a song, if you don't want to listen to it again, what's the point in singing it? And so when I'm composing songs and when I'm creating songs, I only create if I think I'm going to listen to it again. I'd only create a tune or a melody if I think I would listen to it again, and not just once, or not just for the cope, or not just to push it out, but actually that it may have some repetition, or that within the mahi there's some form of perpetuity in it. And that's coming from the critical background of course, my grandfather being quite brutal. So in terms of like what I really like to focus on, it's literally my own preferences. The things that I actually enjoy, because I think that if I can listen to it myself, I won't mind if other people, I actually... I could release so many different types of waiata that might vibe with a larger crowd than actually, But if I don't actually like it, I find no point in releasing it, even if it is a popular freaking song. And I've found that through my own experiences, releasing tracks previously, and now when I'm hearing it, I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Or I get that cringe almost, and I hate that feeling. So it's made me a lot more conscious now of what I'm producing, what I'm creating. So when you ask me, what do I focus mainly on now? It's actually ensuring that I'm not just blasé about my compositions. One of the main things that kind of enforce this perspective is the fact that as Māori, our mōteatea, our waiata koroua, our chants, they're literally our library. When this is our main form of passing down knowledge, passing down kōrero. And we've been doing this for centuries, before we even had a microphone, before we even had instruments with strings per se. We've been composing, we've been keeping history and archiving our experiences through waiata. And so I think it's really important now that as artists, as composers, as creators, we're conscious of that, because what we're doing is we're creating our narratives from this day, but we need to be also conscious that these songs and these taonga will last way after us. By the time we've passed away, ka ora tonu nei waiata nei taonga. We're needing to ensure that those taonga come with quality. Those taonga come with accuracy as well, both to our own experiences, and that we're not doing it through what we think the Pākehā wants, or we're not doing it through what we think a label wants. Just like Misty said, we're doing it actually as per our manawa and what we're really wanting. So in all of the kaupapa that I do, no matter if it is music or not, no matter if it is animation television, if it's studio work, if it's kapahaka, if it doesn't kind of sync with my wairua and the values that I kind of hold close to me, I won't do it. So I won't pursue it or complete it. And so I think when you ask, what do I focus more on, in any project that I go for, that I pursue, I ensure that it's 100% connected to my values and my mātāpono. Just to give an overview, it is te reo Māori, it is rangatahi development, and it is waiata. And so those are kind of the mātāpono that I try to stick to when I commit myself to different projects or kaupapa. And if it doesn't have any of those three, I don't even bother. Long story short. So yeah, koina noi ho etahi o aku aronga. I don't even know if that answers the question. I'll be honest, I forgot the question halfway through.
No, you did well. You did fabulous. And what I want to say is that your karaua must be a close whanaunga to some of my aunties and that, because that critique, I think we've all experienced that, eh? It's a whānau, it's a Māori thing, eh, and especially...
Oh, it's unfair. Like, honestly, I was breaking down, tears, like,
I feel you.
Hates me.
Yes.
Like, I was like that child that was, if I heard it, I would take it on board personally and be like, why can't you just enjoy it? But it actually helped. So, hindsight, it worked.
It works. Tēnā koe. I must say, like I said, my forte is not really in the music industry. It's always been public speaking. The whanaunga Mistee K can relate to this, because yes, I had aunties at our kura and they're going, if you're going to stand and represent, you must speak clearly, you must speak. So that last person, and so that critique kōrero, I must say, I relate 100%. It's definitely a Māori thing, but how you've just encapsulated your whole whakautu around your mātāpono, love them, te reo Māori, te tuatahi, te oranga tonutanga o tātou nei, te hunga mātātahi. Beautiful, Pere. I love that. You're, for such a young person. You have like this old soul sitting within you to relate and to always come back and project it through your waiata, through your compositions, and it's just beautiful to actually hear that from you, e te hoa. So thank you for sharing that, and yes, you did answer that pātai. But going over to the kazi there, Mistee K, same pātai for you there, e te whanaunga, and it has been an absolutely humbling experience to watch you on your journey as well, because like you said, you started at the age of 11, and I would say maybe even younger. Manga tiri days there e te whanaunga, but yeah, Mistee, how about for you, as an artist, what's something that you tend to kind of focus on as well?
Wow, I just kind of want to go back and just touch on the last kōrero, and also talking about, I wrote a song about the closer they are, the closer it hurts, because it's so true. I actually have had the closest to me saying, right, it's never going to happen, so have you got a plan B, or whatever, and it's because I think we can all really agree to this, is that we all have day jobs. We've all still had to maintain our home bounds so that we can make sure that is secure first, and then we have our creative strand, And so, and if you're lucky enough to be involved in the creative mahi as your primary mahi, well then it doesn't feel like you're working because you love it so much, you know what I mean? So well done to you, brother. At the end of the day, if you've found something, or if you've found an area that, you just don't feel like you are waking up to mahi, like that kind of mahi that's going to just drain you, then awesome. However, I had to write a song about that. Closer they are, closer it hurts. But my focus for me is the energy. I have to be, and especially in a studio, that's probably why I work a lot by myself, because if the energy isn't really flowing for me, it's hard to kind of let the creative juices flow as well. And I tend to work in the creative hours, which would be 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Like when everyone's asleep, where everyone's, catching Z's, I'm out there making music or doing something that fills my soul, So for me, the focus definitely has to be energy. It has to be great energy, high energy, like-minded souls that I'm working with. I am very driven, like self-driven. So I don't know if it's because of my military background why I'm like that, but I am always early to everything, usually when it comes to music. So my music whānau are like always late, or or they're like, man, okay, we know Miles is going to be there on time, so we're going to make sure we're there. Otherwise, she's going to be like, But when it comes to everything else, I'm late. So I don't know. There's a balance here, There's got to be a balance there. But in terms of professionalism, as Mistee K, that's professionalism for her, And when I say her, this goes back to Miles and Mistee K are two different people. Now, let me just enlighten you a little bit on that, because this can also touch back on the last kōrero about pros and cons, but I needed to find how I can not let the closest they are, closer it hurts people get to me, right? So I changed my name to Mistee K on the Aotearoa, so that she can go on there and be confident, sassy, boss, do what she has to do, and not have to care about what those people think, because going on that stage as Mals, that's, the people who know me closely know me as Mals. My friends, my whānau that I i tupua ki wanganui a tātou, they know me as Mals. So whenever I would get the hate come in, or all those negative connotations towards my music, I took it really personally, to a point where I was just like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should just throw this in, because if what these people are saying is true, then I'm encompassing this as Mals, and I'm Mals every day. So how can I split that? How can I leave that on the stage, or leave it in the studio, or leave it in those areas where I'm doing artist work? So Mistee K came into the piece and she is going to let it rip wherever she goes. She's confident. She's going to get on the stage and she's going to give you a great show, you know, and she's going to be confident about it and know that you are going to get your money's worth, whether or not it's going to be $2 or $50 or whatever, because at the end of the day, I'm professional like that. And I think as an established artist, that's what we need to also keep there is our standards. Our professionalism needs to be at the forefront too. And I've seen it over the years, and I've seen how people can slack off. And that's just my own personal opinion. Like, this is my brand. This is my personal brand. So how am I going to want to be recognized if I am turning up in a certain way and I'm not showing up for myself in the best way that I can be showing up, you know? Like, that's why I say focus is energy. Energy is everything. You know, energy is everything that we're getting involved in. And so Mistee K, even though that's my persona, Mistee K is still real true to who I am. Mistee is my middle name translated into English, and the K represents kohu Pātiki, my marae, where I was brought up. So every time I get on that stage, I'm still Maus, I'm still representing my iwi, my hapu, my whānau, you know, everything is still encompassed in that name. However, every negative connotation that comes at her, she don't care about it, because if she cares about every single little negative thing that comes her way, where's she going to end up? She's going to be wahangu. She ain't going to be standing out there speaking words of wisdom when she can, you know, or sharing a piece of who she is wherever she goes. So focus is energy, and energy is aroha, and energy is kotahitanga. So for me, that is a big thing, is making sure that the energy is high in a room that I enter, because if I can't feel that energy, ka haere au. You know, I don't want to be, I want to give that same kind of energy that you deserve too.
Inspiring journeys through music, the independent artists. A podcast produced by Sound Centre for New Zealand Music, Toi Te Arapuoru, presented by me, Crystal Edwards, with today's guest, Pere Wihongi, Māori Huata-Lucas, aka Mistee K, and Tipene Harmer. And that was the first part of a two-part series. Thanks to series producers Toni Huata and Roger Smith, sound engineer Phil Brownlee, production assistants from Jonathan Engel, marketing Leoné Venter, and executive producer Diana Marsh. Special thanks to Mistee K for Feel It, Tipene for Ariki, and Pere Wihongi for Tōrea. Thanks to the Stout Trust for providing the funding to make this podcast series, and thank you for listening. To hear or find out more about this podcast, or for more information about the music of Aotearoa New Zealand, go to sounds.org.nz. That's SOUNZ. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Toi te arapuoru, Sounds.